Congressman Adam Schiff sits on the House Intelligence Committee and is a Hillary Clinton supporter. He's here with us in studio today. Nice to see you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Peter.
So the campaign, as we noted, has not confirmed the authenticity of this, but at least in one of these hacks, Hillary Clinton speaks about how you need to have a public and a private position on some issues in order to get things done. Isn't this duplicitous? Isn't this sort of get to the heart of what a lot of Americans want to hear some honesty from her about, that she is a more honest player? And comments like this don't present her as an honest broker. Why not go after the hack itself, but go after the sort of content of information?
Well, I think a couple things. She addressed this during the debate, and I think made the point that what she was talking about there was the fact that, as Lincoln demonstrated, and I think this was after the Lincoln film, you often make one appeal to one crowd to move them on an issue.
Is that still the strategy, the honest Abe answer? It seems like that was not one of her stronger moments. Even the campaign concedes from that night. So, I mean, on the basic premise, though, of a public versus a private position, can we agree that there needs to be a better answer to separate positions?
Well, you know, as I mentioned, this is what the Secretary talked about during the debate, and I don't have a better answer not having been there for the speech or having the full transcript. But this just shows, I think, part of the problem with addressing, frankly, the partial leak of information by Wikileaks. And on the Intel Committee, where I'm the ranking member, what chiefly concerns me more about this than the content, which, frankly, given the volume of these dumps, is now becoming background noise in the campaign, is the fact that you have a major power, an adversarial power, that is leaking information, hacking and leaking information with the design to influence the campaign. So I think voters need to keep this in mind. They may look at those comments in that transcript of Secretary Clinton and say, what did she mean by that? But they also ought to keep in mind who is doing this, who is leaking this, and what is their purpose.
But is there any evidence that there's any real contact? Understanding that the intelligence community says that Russia's behind this in some form, but is there any true evidence that Donald Trump's campaign has any real relationship to Russia, absent Roger Stone, an associate of Donald Trump, saying there's some back channel to WikiLeaks? Is there any evidence that Donald Trump has anything to do with whatever the heck Russia's doing right now?
Well, I don't think you need evidence that the Trump campaign is somehow coordinating their efforts with Putin via some kind of a hotline. The reality is he has made it clear publicly that he's inviting Russia to hack his opponent. He's urging them to do more. He's applauding the fact that WikiLeaks is releasing these stolen emails. He is praising Putin. So if the Kremlin needs in light, they're already getting that in public from Donald Trump. There doesn't have to be any more coordination from that than that.
Suffice to say, there is no evidence of any coordination at this point.
You know, I'm not aware of any evidence of coordination beyond the fact that Trump is publicly calling for the Russians to do what they're doing. But, you know, I do think it's important for voters to know that not only do we see the Russians hacking, interfering with the election process, as the administration acknowledged last week, but they're not doing it just as a general disruption effort. They're doing it to help a particular candidate, and that's Donald Trump. And that ought to be of great concern to all Americans.
So you would know, what is America doing about these cyber breaches right now more broadly? This is a concern that some fear could have an impact on the election itself.
Well, you know, it begins with naming the responsible party, which Senator Feinstein and I have been urging for some time.
You called for them to halt immediately.
Exactly. But it will continue beyond that if the leaks continue, as indeed they are. I think probably the best thing the administration can do is work with our European allies who have also been the subject of hacking and the dumping often of misleading information. It may require combined action on sanctions again. That is one of the few things that seems to get Russia's attention. They're trying to crawl out from the sanctions that have been imposed over their invasion of Ukraine. The last thing they want to see is new economic punishment. That, to me, is a better remedy than some cyber tit for tat. You know, we could, I suppose, hack and dump information that is damaging to Putin, for example, but I don't think that's really where we want to go. We certainly don't want to interfere with democratic institutions with Russia. They're already under full assault by Putin. So I think that the economic levers are probably the most powerful here.
So finally, if I can conclude, I want to ask you about another headline making news, which is the U.S. launching missile attacks in Yemen early this morning after being on the receiving end of attacks from rebel-controlled areas in that country. So do we believe that those attacks are pressed forward by Iran? Is Iran ultimately the party behind these?
Well, they're certainly coming from Houthi-controlled areas, and the Houthis are in league with the Iranians. You have to think a step of this consequence. The Houthis that are becoming so dependent on the Iranians wouldn't be doing without Iranian knowledge, whether it's done at Iranian direction.
So are we moving toward America's involvement in this civil war there?
Well, I don't think we're moving to involvement in the sense of American ground troops or anything like that. We, are going after Al-Qaeda there. We are assisting in going after ISIS there. We're also assisting the Gulf allies in pushing back the Houthis and trying to bring about a peaceful outcome. But I don't think you're going to see America do more than defend itself, as it's doing right now, and look for these targets of opportunity in terms of the counterterrorism campaign.
Congressman Schiff, nice to see you. Appreciate your time.